Imagine walking through a medieval city after sunset. The streets are hushed, lit only by flickering torches and the occasional glow spilling from a tavern window. You pass the blacksmith's forge, now silent, its fires dim for the night. But then, something strange catches your eye. At the far end of a narrow alley, there's a heavy oak door set into stone. It has no handle, no knocker, no sign, just iron bands across its surface, and the faintest symbol carved near the top, a pair of clasped hands. To most, it's just a curiosity. But to those who know, this is the entrance to a guild hall, a place off limits to outsiders. Behind that door lies not just a meeting room, but a world of secrets, a brotherhood sworn by oath, where wealth, politics, and even life and death were decided in whispers. The guilds were the beating heart of medieval towns, but also their shadowy keepers. They promised protection to their members, but demanded loyalty in return. They were part business association, part secret society, part local government. And for centuries, they ruled the streets far more effectively than kings or bishops could. Tonight, we're stepping through that door without a handle. Tonight, you're not just a bystander. You're about to discover the hidden world of medieval guilds. Inside the guild hall, the air smells of beeswax candles and old wood. Men sit in long rows, apprentices and journeymen at the back, masters up front. On the central table rests a loaf of bread, a jug of ale, and a small iron chest bound with chains. This isn't a tavern gathering. It's a ceremony. An apprentice is about to take the oath. His hands shake as he presses them against the bread and swears loyalty, secrecy, and obedience. The chest is open just enough for him to see its contents. A book of rules, a seal, and a dagger. The message is clear, this brotherhood gives, but it also takes. Guild initiation wasn't just tradition. It was control. Bakers swore never to sell underweight loaves. Blacksmiths promised never to teach outsiders their techniques. Weavers agreed on fixed prices for their cloth. Every oath tightened the grip of the guild on daily life. Break the rules, and you weren't just fined. You could be ruined, expelled, or even physically punished. Guilds ensure quality and fairness, but also crushed competition and kept their secrets buried. For the apprentice, tonight means he's no longer just a boy with callous hands. He's now part of a hidden power network that could raise him to riches or condemn him to ruin. To understand guilds, you have to picture a medieval town not as one community, but as layers of overlapping power. The king might claim authority. The bishop might wield divine sanction. But inside the walls, guilds had their own courts, their own militias, even their own festivals. A guild hall wasn't just a building. It was a fortress of influence. Within it, disputes were judged, alliances forged, and wealth distributed. In cities like London, Florence, and Lubeck, guilds decided who could work, what prices could be charged, and even who could marry into certain trades. A merchant without a guild was a ship without a flag, adrift, vulnerable, and unable to dock in safe harbors. For a city, guilds meant stability. No chaotic undercutting of prices, no floods of cheap, shoddy goods. But it also meant rigidity. Innovation could be strangled, outsiders excluded, and anyone who challenged the system found themselves shut out of both business and society. The guild was a city within a city, a hidden government. And unlike the king who might ride away to fight wars or the bishop who prayed for souls, the guild stayed rooted in the cobbled streets, watching, judging, ruling. For the young apprentice, the guild was both a prison and a ladder. He began at the bottom, living in his master's household, working long hours for little pay. His bed might be a straw mat in the corner of the workshop. His meals, whatever was left after the master's family had eaten. But apprenticeship offered something far greater than wages. It offered belonging, skills, and a future. After years of service, if he proved loyal and skilled, the apprentice became a journeyman, literally one who journeys. He could travel from town to town, working for different masters, gathering new techniques, and building a reputation. Journeymen often carried letters of recommendation, stamped with guild seals, which were the medieval equivalent of a passport. They slept in inns, shared ale with strangers, and dreamed of the day they could open their own shop. But to become a master was no simple matter. The guild demanded proof, a masterpiece. It might be a finely woven tapestry, a perfectly forged sword, or a flawless loaf of bread. The judges were harsh, the standards high. If the journeyman succeeded, he was granted the right to hang his sign above a door, to take on apprentices of his own, and to carve his place in the city. If he failed, he remained forever a wanderer. For some, the dream of the shop sign was never realized. Each guild guarded its craft as jealously as a kingdom guards its crown jewels. Recipes, formulas, and techniques were locked behind oaths and secrecy. The Masons, for instance, kept the mysteries of stone cutting hidden, passing them only from master to apprentice. The glassmakers of Venice were so protective of their secrets that leaving the island of Murano without permission was punishable by death. Dyers had formulas for colors that could not be replicated elsewhere, brilliant blues from lapis, deep reds from madder, luminous purples from snail shells. To reveal these secrets to an outsider was to betray not only your master, but your entire guild. Punishments could be brutal. Fines, exile, public humiliation, or worse. In a world without patents or copyright, secrecy was survival. The guild kept innovation alive, but only within its own walls. Outsiders remained in the dark, and this control gave guilds their power. Even today, whispers remain that guild secrets went beyond practical craft. Some guilds were rumored to use strange rituals, symbols, even coded languages. Whether myth or truth, one thing is clear. To belong to a guild was to hold knowledge that the rest of the world could never touch. Step inside a cathedral on feast day, and you'll see banners unfurling, not just of noble houses, but of guilds. Bakers, carpenters, tailors, and masons each marched under their own colors, carrying candles, chanting prayers, and making offerings. Guilds weren't just economic machines. They were deeply spiritual brotherhoods. Most had patron saints. The masons prayed to St. Thomas, the carpenters to St. Joseph, and the brewers to St. Arnold, who, legend has it, saved entire towns by urging them to drink beer instead of contaminated water. Membership meant more than business. It meant salvation. Guilds maintained chapels, paid priests, and ensured funerals for members. If a brother died, the guild would provide candles for the vigil, pay for masses, and ensure he was buried with honor. To be outside a guild wasn't just economic exile. It was spiritual danger. Who would care for your soul? Who would light candles for you after death? In this way, guilds bound men together not only in work, but in eternity. The clasped hands carved into guild hall doors symbolize more than trade. They symbolize trust in this life and hope in the next. But guild life wasn't all rules and prayers. Imagine long wooden tables laden with roasted meats, steaming stews, and overflowing jugs of ale. The guild feast was more than celebration. It was politics in disguise. Apprentices sat nervously, waiting to be noticed. Journeymen swapped stories of distant cities. Masters leaned in close, speaking in low voices, forging alliances. Feasts were where reputations were made and destroyed. A clever toast could win you favor. A drunken mistake could haunt you for years. And at the center of the hall, the guild's officers presided like kings. The feast was a theater of hierarchy. Every seat mattered. Every gesture carried weight. It wasn't just eating. It was networking before networking existed. A young journeyman might leave the feast with the promise of work. A merchant might secure new trading partners. Even the church and city officials who attended knew the truth. Guild feasts weren't just meals. They were summits of power. Behind laughter and clinking cups, the future cities was quietly decided.